Hello, and welcome to the 8th episode of the Akashic Love Field. I'm Jen Duchene, your host. Today I want to talk about change. We're in the midst of change, and as much as we want to stop it, well, some of us do. I mean, all of us do to some extent because it's the unknown. We haven't experienced it. We don't know what it's going to bring, this change. And one of the uh, behaviors that has got us into this whole situation is our need for certainty. As humans, we crave certainty and we use our brains to apply logic to say, well, if this happens, then it means this. So we have done a lot of things to belong, to fit in, to modify the story that's happening around us to fit our narrative, because each of us has our own narrative. And when things are changing and in crumble form, it's really hard to keep moving the goalposts of that narrative. It becomes not only terrifying because it's like, oh, I can't control what's happening. I can't control the story. I can't control who I am in this place, which is very upsetting and confusing because it makes us question everything, right? What does this all mean? Why does it make sense? And we're being battered by opinions of others who are insisting on a certain point of view. I think one of the most powerful things we can do in the place of humongous change is to pause. Pause for stillness, pause to ground, or to kind of reestablish our connection to the earth. So the other day I did something. I saw somebody was offering something called Walk with the Donkeys. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. I don't know what that is. Okay, I'm interested. And then there are all these unknown aspects like, okay, how do I get there? Because I don't have a car. And I have to get up early. Do I want to do this? Blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, well, I just want to have this experience. I don't know what it is, but this is the weekend I can do it. So I asked the person, like, how can I get there? And they were like, yeah, we can pick you up from the train, no problem. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it, right? So I went, and it was absolutely amazing. I have to say, it was so grounding and so incredibly amazing. And it was nothing like I expected, to be honest, because I didn't know what to expect. I'd never done this. And one of the things that I learned about this, so these are donkeys that are never ridden by people. They are not pack animals. They are living in what the owners call a donkey's paradise. And you go there, and there are three donkeys, all different heritages, which is so interesting. I didn't even know donkeys had heritage. You know, they're different ethnicities, if you will, or backgrounds. And so they even look different. And they are only meant to carry 1/3 of their weight. And if a donkey is taken care of, it lives for 30 years. And if it's abused, as many donkeys are, they live for 7 years because they just wear out. I think it's a great, what do you call it, a parable for our human experience. So the owner prepares their food, and I was there early. I came earlier. Obviously, they had to pick me up, so they had to pick me up earlier than the kind of the posted start, and they only take a small amount of people. And then, so he prepared their food, they were eating. And then when others came, he got us to brush the animals and explain to us where their sensitive areas are around the face and the ears. You don't touch that. Where you can touch, where it's safe, and where you don't go at the back, because if they don't, especially if they don't know you, right? Because that they can't see behind, but they know something's there, so they could kick you. And they have a very strong kick, right? They can turn their legs up and they move very fast. Not only that, they are very strong. So we combed them and then we had to take them around. They've got these little leashes. And just to get familiar and realize, like, each donkey has its own personality. Each uh, personality also decides, like, okay, I'm not going to do this. And if you don't know how to um, get the donkey to move, it's just going to do whatever it wants to do, which is a normal way of an animal, right? Like our animal part, our human part is like that when we acknowledge it. So we went on the walks after, getting them all ready, and we were instructed. We went on a walk. In the first part of the walk, they're very rambunctious and just don't want to listen. And the most powerful thing that this man Jan was saying is that donkeys mirror us. They mirror our energy. So if you're talking a lot and you're loud, you're not in your body. And so it makes them more agitated because they are reflecting that energy to us. So you really need to be present with the donkeys. Not all of us were leading a donkey because there were 3 donkeys and I don't know, 5 or 6 people. And then at some point, when we're coming to the end, the owner asked me if I wanted to walk the donkey because I hadn't, except in the little pen. And I was like, I don't really need to walk the donkey. I was like, oh, that was a bit sort of crazy when I did it in the paddock because I didn't really know what I was doing or how to behave. And at this point, they were much calmer. And so I took the leash and I was wrapping around my hand. And then I remembered what he said. And he also noted, he said, don't wrap it around your hand. And I was like, oh, that's right. You just got to hold it, hold the leash in your hand. And then if the donkey does go, you just release the leash instead of being dragged because your hand is all twisted in there. And I just found all this stuff so incredibly relatable to what is happening in life right now. Just, walking with the donkeys. It's not just a moment of an experience in your life, or say in my life, because I had this experience. It was an actual reflection of how to work with change. Here's something I don't know. Let me hold it loosely. Let me have a cord to it, to change, and just hold it very loosely in my hand. And I held it, and then the donkey just ran off because that's what happens if they see the sort of growth on the side of the road. They run to it because they constantly eat. Their digestion moves very quickly through their system, so they constantly eat to, whenever there's food. And they eat all kinds of things that other animals don't eat. Very fascinating. So it ran off, and then I just let go. I was able to let go of the leash. And then as we were walking along, I noticed with my donkey that he was pushing into me. Like when he wanted to, he would just like kind of push me, sort of going, okay, I'm going to push you across because I want to go there. And then I was like, wait a minute. I need to be telling the donkey, no, you can't push me. So I just pushed back, but it was very lighthearted. I pushed back like playfully. I wasn't like, I'm going to shove you and hurt you. It was just like, no, you're not going to, uh, you're not going to dictate the path we're walking because there are a bunch of other people and all of us. And I need to be very present to this, right? It's not the 2 of us walking on the road. And then Hans, the owner, was next to me with walking his donkey, and he said, "Oh, that's right. You just need to push them back, right? If they push you, you push them back to kind of show them you are present, that you are grounded in the moment, that I'm paying attention, that they can't just push me. And I felt like this donkey was telling me, Jen, you're not paying attention. I'm going to take over. So, an allegory for my life, that when I'm not paying attention, I'm getting pushed to the other side. The donkey's just kind of pulling, because they're incredibly strong, just pulling across to the other side of the road or to whatever they want, or they think you have a carrot or somebody else is getting something. They just push towards it. And I was like, oh, okay. And it became something so, um, it made me so aware of myself in the space and recognizing this is change, right? This is how change works. Change comes and it's upsetting and it's unknown and it's weird and uncomfortable and also fun. I mean, there's fun in it. And you get to do this and have this experience with other people because you're usually not alone. And sometimes it's okay. Let other people go off, like in the walk. Other people were, some of them were talking together at the back. Sometimes I was talking to somebody kind of at the back away from the donkeys. Sometimes I was in the midst of the donkeys. Sometimes I was silently walking on my own, just looking at the amazing uh, olive trees and orange trees and nature and listening and being present. And it was all this incredible experience of me choosing. I chose to, you know, sort of step back. I chose to be part of conversation. I then chose to walk the donkey and have this incredible lesson from the donkey about life, my life, and about change, and how when we are grounded in who we are, that means I'm present, I'm paying attention to what's happening around me, then everything feels so much better. Like I can't control what's happening right now in the world. I can't control what's happening in my world, except I can come back to myself, to my presence, to what is true for me now, and bring that truth into my everyday if I'm willing to. If I'm willing to stand up and say the things and do the things, like doing this podcast, for example. Don't know if anyone is listening or if anyone will listen, but I'm doing it because it's something that helps to ground me in my path going forward. This is something I have to do, so I'm doing it. This is part of me, not just expressing myself, but sharing the wisdom that I have, that I need to bring into the collective. Like all of us have something we want to bring, and we bring it in different ways. And our contribution has to change because we all have the capacity to lead ourselves, right? And that's the ultimate. Right now, we're in a situation where the people we have elected or chosen or have been chosen or whatever, have chosen themselves as leaders, are um, are doing all the things that they have become accustomed to. So they're not telling us what they're doing. They're not explaining to us why they're doing it. They're often doing it for their own benefit and has nothing to do with the collective, which certainly is not every leader. However, there's a certain historical way of leadership that is falling away. The old system, the patriarchy, the system that's been in place for certainly what we look, the last 2,000 years, and the whole aspect of 26,000 years approximately of a cycle of the zodiac or human experience or whatever experience on this planet, whether the humans were here or not. Just in the last 2,000 years, we have been involved in patriarchy at a very extreme level where certain beliefs have come into play 2,000 years ago that dominated the stage and insisted that people needed to believe certain things. And it collectively impacted all of us. It gave us beliefs, understandings, fears, all kinds of things about who we are and what life is and the meaning of life and who God is. And as we move out of this place, we have to separate ourselves from what we've been given as truth and what we have told ourselves is true, right? So, in order to lead ourselves, and it's so incredible that this story with the donkeys. So there's a story about, personally, I'm not Christian, but I know that there are parables around Jesus Christ, for example, walking with donkeys. I don't know if other religions have the same, but I imagine that they have similar stories because all of the stories from religion all come from, and myths and all mythology and all uh, um, indigenous tribes, they're all connected. And a lot of it has to do with the stars and the planets and the earth birthing us, bringing us into places. And many of those mythological figures were leaders or showed us how to be leaders. So just going to this parable, for example, of Jesus walking into Jerusalem on a donkey, I think that was the parable, where he comes to claim himself as king of Jerusalem uh, in a very subtle way, apparently. I don't know, I wasn't there, so I'm just telling you how the story goes. And I could have it all wrong, but that's my interpretation of what I've heard. And the olive trees. Here I am, orange trees, olive trees. I'm having an experience with donkeys and realizing the weight and power of donkeys and how it relates to ourselves and this change we're going through. So I don't want you to think I'm equating myself with Jesus or any of these people. I'm not. I'm just sharing um, the similarities in the moment, right? I'm not trying to make out that I'm some person who is uh, whatever, some extraordinary leader or something. What I am saying, though, is that what I do know, I am somebody who is fortunate enough to be connected to the Akashic Love Field and to have information that comes into me. And if it's stuff that resonates with you, that's wonderful because that's what I'm here for, is to help people move through this experience. And the way I do it is by moving through it myself. So I'm not just talking from the mind, or I imagine this is how you're doing it, or this is what I'm hearing it. I actually have to live this too, right? I'm a human. I have to humanly live this experience. We all do, right? And those of us who choose to be more in our heads or more intellectual or spiritual in the sense that everything's outside of our bodies, can't really help us to move through it, right? Because it's one thing to have an idea about something, it's another thing to actually live it. And this is what we're going through right now. Many people are living painful situations, and many others, many of us outside of those situations are opinionated with privilege because we don't have those experiences. So we are deciding what it means. We're telling other people what it means and how to behave. And that will not serve us. So we have to learn to look within ourselves. What is true for me? Where am I not being grounded? Where am I taking on the word of someone else or looking at life through my filter without listening or hearing what the person who's experiencing this experience is going through? When we're afraid of leadership, as we are because of our experiences of being told that we're not leadership material, that God comes through someone else, another human who knows better than us, then it takes a lot of learning and a lot of um, willingness to do the things we haven't done or to see things we haven't seen. Therefore, the stillness, the being present, that's what stillness is. It's being here now with what is, not allowing ourselves to be pushed around by other people's desires, needs, what they want us to believe, what they want us to do. We have to stop and go, no. Just like I had to with the donkeys, I had to go, okay, Jen, um, I'm going to let this donkey kind of keep pushing me, and I'm going to kind of stumble into the person next to me and then cause them to be pushed, or we're all going to kind of convert together. Or I'm going to go, okay, you're not going to push me. So how can I playfully and lovingly um, hold the reins? How can I lead? And that my automatic choice was that going, oh, you're doing this to me, you're trying to push me this way. Okay, I'm going to do it to you, and I'm going to kind of straighten you up, right? And it became easier as I did it. And then I decided, because I use love language. I use light language. It is a love language. I use light language, and I love to communicate with animals in light language. So I was singing. I started to sing to the donkey, and very softly. And then the Hans, who was next to me, said, "Oh, that's so nice what you're doing." And I felt a bit like, embarrassed. But then he was like, "Oh, you should do that." I just kind of stopped for a moment. And then I was like, "Yeah, I should just keep doing it. Doesn't really matter if he thinks I'm, a nut or something. It's not harming anyone." And so I did. I continued to sing to the donkey, and the donkey and the other donkey started to kind of, I could feel the energy kind of calming. And as we walked, I was able to be more alert in leading the donkey home, because that's what we were doing. We were leading the donkeys home. And so I could say, andare, kind of come along, and not let it pull me where it wanted, but really get it to go where it needed to go. And I think this is what this podcast is about. It's about leading yourself to where you want to go and recognizing that it's a learning. I have to be present. I have to be present to the donkey and the power of the donkey. I have to be present to change and the power of change. Change just comes in and it can knock you off your feet. It can push you sideways. It can, try to persuade you. The donkey would kind of put his head here by my chest and kind of rub it. So it almost feels like, oh, the donkey's being loving to me. But really, it was the donkey was just trying to persuade me to kind of move in the way it wanted me to move. So if I take the donkey as my life and change and all the things of where I need to assert myself and how I want to assert myself, so I can lead myself to the place I want to be, to home, that I can lead the donkey, I can lead life to the places I want to be, in the way I want to lead, and not be knocked off my feet, and not be swept off my feet, not be, you know, uh, completely, what's the word? Uh, discombobulated and freaked out because all of this change is happening. When we have change, we have to learn a couple of things. And one of the major things we have to learn as we move into change, because change is going to happen regardless. We may want to stop it. We may try to fight against the people that are insisting in a certain way, or wanting to do things we don't agree with. But at the end of the day, change is like a wild river that rushes in and just takes everything with it. And you have to decide, okay, I need to separate myself from my old beliefs, my old habits, my old practices, my old non-coherence or unwillingness to pay attention to other things because I was in my little safe bubble. I didn't need to be grounded because I was doing all the right things. I didn't need to pay attention and go, okay, I really need to do these things. I need to stop, connect to the thing, the experience I'm having now, and let everything else that was true to me or appeared true to dissolve because it's irrelevant. I have to separate myself from what was. This is the part that can be so overwhelming as we move into change, that we have to give up so many things about what we believed, what we said, what we did, how we behaved, just to belong. I'll do whatever you want. Just let me be part of your circle. All of that stuff we have done collectively and individually in different ways. And go, okay, who am I? How am I going to lead myself? How am I going to lead these donkeys home? How am I going to lead myself to the next place in my life? What is necessary? On my walk with the donkeys, I discovered what was necessary, that I was present, and present in joy, and present in love, and allowing myself to express with my voice, and allowing myself to express with my body, and be equal to the donkey in the sense that I wasn't trying to force it, and I wasn't trying to, I wasn't allowing it to force me either. So I wasn't using, anger or anything like that to control the donkey. I was thinking more about what I needed to do in order to walk this donkey home, in order to get where I was going. And this, I believe, is the essential part, the separation, that when we see that the people around us are not seeing what we see, that they don't understand, when even when we prove it to them, we show them facts. Look, this thing you're saying isn't true. As for me, I look at the situation that's happening in Israel and Gaza, and many people supporting Palestinians. All Palestinians, individuals, should have the right to human treatment, just as all Israelis should have that treatment. And it's so fascinating. This situation has kind of ignited the world for many reasons. However, uh, there is no genocide happening in Palestine. The Israelis are not committing a genocide. And this has been proved over and over again. The figures that were shown by Hamas have been proved to be lies. But people still think there's a genocide. They don't understand what a genocide is. They keep saying genocide, genocide. And I realized to myself that I could spend a lot of energy telling people, well, it's not happening, it's not happening. And when it's necessary, I will speak out. But I don't want to put my energy there. I don't want to put my energy at telling people where they got it wrong. I want to put my energy and where I'm going, how I'm leading myself. So it doesn't matter what your situation is or where you see that people are delusional and desperate to force a truth on others, because there are many situations in the world. I mean, individually, we all have situations where we are in this kind of conflict where somebody's telling us our lived experience is not true, or somebody who we know is having a lived experience, that their lived experience is not true, right? Instead of going, okay, let me ground, let me come in here, let me do some research, and let me start with what is true. that I don't need to hook into a certain so-called truth so I can be part of a group, so I can belong. I don't need to be with those people because if I do that, I'm ungrounded, number one, because I'm saying things that aren't true and I haven't checked. So I'm very ungrounded. I'm very vulnerable to being swept along with others. And I can't lead myself if I'm following somebody else's idea. If I go and do the research and I discover this is true, then I can choose how I want to be. But at the end of the day, we have to separate ourselves from everyone in my group believes this, therefore it's true, or I'm not going to hold them accountable. I'm just going to go along because otherwise they're going to kick me out of the group. So many people now, myself included, have experienced this being kicked out of a group because we don't agree with all the things they're saying, and therefore we're no longer invited. And this is clarity. It may be painful, but it's where clarity comes, where leadership comes from that place like, oh, I get it. You can't see what I see. You don't agree with this. I'm not going to do what I used to do, which is try to please you and get to be part of your group anymore. I'm just going to move into that place where I need to be focused on where I'm going and what is true for me and what's going to line me up to my own leadership. So, love to hear your thoughts. Whatever you want to share with me, all conversation is acceptable. Certainly not violence, not any of that sort of thing like what you say isn't true, so shut up, get out. I don't believe in that stuff. Sometimes you have to do it when people only want to hurt you. You have to hold up a block. But in general, I believe that we need to listen to each other. We need to just allow each other to have our truth, our lived experience. I accept your lived experience because you are not me. I accept it because I don't need to change your point of view. I don't need to make you see what I see. I just need to accept. You know what you experienced. I don't have to change anything about myself or you because you had an experience or you believe a certain thing. Unless it's something that lands within me and I go, oh, I made a mistake about XYZ. I now see that I was assuming, right? All right. I'm going to end here with lots of love. I look forward to seeing you in the future. Of course, you can find me on Substack, Duchene, the Akashic Love Field. And I am open for work if you want to work with me.